Okay, everybody, here we go. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's lesson. So today we are solving quadratics. And so when we solve quadratics, we know no matter what, because it's an x squared, there has to be two answers. One way to get the two answers is with mini equations. So let's take a look at problem number one. So I like to factor. I think factoring is the easiest way. So I go x and x, positive 5, negative 5 equals 0. I get my mini equations then from here. And x plus 5 equals 0, and x minus 5 equals 0. To solve, I go minus 5, minus 5. There's one answer, negative 5. Plus 5, plus 5. There's the other answer, add a positive 5. Okay, good. Factor mini equations, two answers. Okay, number two, I factor this one, x and x for x squared. I need the multiples of negative 5, and 1. They do make a negative 4x for the middle term. Do my mini equations, and I get positive 5 and negative 1. Okay, number three, it must equal 0. So what I did is I brought over the 2x. Minus 2x minus 2x makes a 1x, and then minus 6. Okay, once I have it equal to 0, then I factor. Multiples of negative 6, positive 3, negative 2, and they will also make a positive 1. But it's just actually going to be the opposite because we have our mini equations then. We solve our mini equations, we get negative 3 and positive 2. Okay, number four. Same thing, it has to equal 0, so I brought over the negative 11x by adding it. So I added 11x, and I added my 6. Okay, this will factor, and you get a 3x and x. 3x and x makes the x squared. Need the multiples of 6, and I use 2 and 3. Now, where's the 11? Well, if I do I call it the double smiley. Here's a 9x and a 2x makes my 11. I've got my mini equation, so I take 3x plus 2 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0, and I solve my mini equations. I go minus 2, and then divide by 3, negative 2/3. And this one I'll go minus 3, and I get x equals negative 3. Okay, now 5 is different because of the quantity squared. We're just going to square root it. We aren't going to factor it. We're going to go straight to square root, because it gets rid of the square. To get rid of the square, you square root it. Square root of 16 is 4, but two answers, so plus or minus 4. I need two answers, so I need two equations. So I got an x plus 4 equals 4, and an x plus 4 equals a negative 4. Okay, and I solve my two mini equations. Minus 4 minus 4, I get 0. Minus 4 here, and I get a negative 8. Okay, 6 is pretty much the same type of equation, same type of problem, but first I've got to get rid of the 10. So I get rid of the 10 by going minus 10, minus 10. That gives me a 49. I got to get rid of the square by square rooting it. So I square root, and I get a square root of 49 is 7, but I need two answers, so plus or minus 7. So I got my x minus 2 equals 7, and my x minus 2 equals negative 7. And I just solve. Plus 2 plus 2 gives me 9. Plus 2 plus 2 over here gives me a negative 5. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video anytime you want. I'm just going to get it done. Okay, on the back side, I'm going to solve this by completing the square. Our goal is to make it look like this. So number 7, I'm going to complete the square. So how do you complete the square? We take half of b and square it. Okay, so let's take a look. b is 6. If we take half of 6, I get 3. If I square 3, I get 9. So added 9 to both sides. Okay. The reason this works is because it allows us to factor it. So the completing square allows me to factor this. I get x plus 3, x plus 3. And by doing this whole process, I get x plus 3 quantity squared. I want this. 4 plus 9 is 13. I want this because then I can solve it. Square root, square root. Square root of 13 is about 3.6. It's about 3.6. So now I have my two mini equations. I have an x plus 3 equals a 6, and an x plus 3 equals a negative 3.6. Okay, then I solve my two mini equations. Minus 3 minus 3, and I get 0.6. I go minus 3 minus 3, and I get a negative 6.6. Okay, number 8. Solve by the quadratic formula. Well, here it is. Quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared. Subtract 4ac all over 2a. All right, well, a, b, c. So a is 3, b is 5, and c is negative 6. So I plug it in. Negative b, or negative 5 plus or minus 5 squares. B squared plus 4a is 3 times c is negative 6 all over 2a, and a is 3. Okay, so now I just have to simplify it. So I get negative 5 plus or minus 25, 5 squared, and 4 times 3 times 6 is 72, but negative times negative is a positive 72. Okay, positive 72 because negative times negative over 6. And then I added 25 and 72, and I get 97. Needed my calculator. What is square root of 97? Well, it's about 9.85. So I got my two equations. I got a negative 5 plus or minus 9.85 over 6. Okay, so I need two answers. I broke it up into two parts. -5 plus 9.85 over 6 and my -5 minus 9.8 over 6. Okay, so then I did that. I got a 4.85 over 6, which is 0.81. I got a -14.85 over 6, which is about a -2.475. So that's all I got. Hopefully this seems easy to you. We're getting close. If you have any questions, come see me.